Christmas and happy holidays, everyone, and welcome back to SFF 180. Thomas here, your host, as always. To those of you who celebrate the holiday, I hope you're all well fed on Christmas dinner by now and are ready to sit back and chill with a new video. And if you don't celebrate, then I hope you've been having a very relaxing and peaceful day, and I am extremely happy you're here to join me. Among all the comforting holiday traditions people take part in this time of year, there's one that I really hope to see make a comeback, and that is the telling of ghost stories for Christmas. Now, as far as I've been able to research, the origin of this tradition is conventionally dated to Victorian England, though in actual fact it very likely dates back far, far earlier as an oral tradition. Back in agrarian times, the end of the year when the weather was cold and everything got dark earlier, meant that telling stories around the fire became a popular way for families and friends to pass the time. And spooky stories have always been popular around a crackling fire. The Victorian era brought spooky stories into print for an audience accustomed to city life, and of course the granddaddy of all ghost stories for Christmas has got to be, you guessed it, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. But there are countless short ghost stories that have been shared over the years, and today many of them appear in a beautifully produced series of chapbooks published in Canada by Biblioasis, and editions designed and illustrated by the multi-award-winning graphic novelist Seth. As of 2022, there are 23 titles in the series, and they make a wonderful addition to anybody's library. One thing you'll find out quickly about these stories, especially if you're the kind of person who considers yourself a big scaredy cat, is that these are all very cozy ghost stories. Sure, the best ones evoke a solidly creepy vibe to add a little extra chill to your Yuletide celebrations, but there's nothing here that you would consider full-on horror, right? They're old-fashioned and charming, definitely spooky, but also, in many cases, heartwarming and even comforting. A good example of this type would be Richard Bridgman's The Morgan Trust, one of the newer stories in the series, from 1973. In this one, a London gentleman with a fondness for paranormal investigation, specifically finding evidence of the afterlife, visits a Welsh town where he hopes to learn more about the locals' relationship to a tycoon who apparently scammed them all on a real estate deal. He arrives to find out the truth is something very different indeed, and may well give him the answers he seeks. On the creepier side, try Frank Cooper's Christmas Eve on a Haunted Hulk from 1889. This one's about a hunter in the English countryside who comes upon the wreckage of an old trawler in a lake and decides to explore it, only to find himself stranded overnight when his own little punt floats away. Needless to say, things happen in the night. Now, I'm going to talk briefly about the 3 new titles that have just been added to the series for 2022. Gertrude Atherton's The Dead and the Countess from 1905 is a tale in which an aging priest in a rural French village is tormented by the disturbed spirits of the dead after a busy railway is constructed, passing right by the parish cemetery where they are interred. Now, the prose style might be a bit too antiquarian to appeal to some readers today, but the story conveys a rich atmosphere, and its premise of a pious man whom everyone thinks is senile and crazy when he's just trying to help the souls of the departed find peace fits in nicely with Christmassy ideas about charity. The Corner Shop, a 1925 story by Lady Cynthia Asquith, is about a young London barrister who visits an antique shop where he purchases a seemingly insignificant knick-knack that turns out to be a historical artifact worth a small fortune. He returns to the shop intending to split the money with the owners, and truths are revealed. So yeah, it's a bit of a morality play, and thanks to subsequent decades of revisiting old tropes, the ending isn't such a surprise. But it's also well told, just evoking this dreamlike mood. But the best new entry this year is a genuine masterpiece of Gothic storytelling from the one, the only Shirley Jackson, and surprisingly, it's the first of Jackson's stories to appear in this series. A Visit, a novelette from 1950, is a spellbinding exercise in narrative misdirection that opens when a young woman named Margaret arrives at the home of her school friend Carla, where she is planning to stay for the summer. The place is an improbably lavish, almost maze-like manor house, full of rooms decorated in countless ornate tapestries of the house. And Carla can't stop talking about the impending arrival of her brother. But Margaret's curiosity is drawn to the tower, which Carla doesn't seem to want to talk about. What unfolds is a multi-layered mystery in which no one's identity really is what it seems to be, and a tragic history is revealed in the smallest of hints. This is a story that demands multiple rereads, and it's one of those classics whose original luster has not dimmed, despite the fact that countless writers over the decades have been influenced by and even overused Jackson's tropes and techniques. I mean, The Sixth Sense is the kind of movie that only gets made due to overdosing on Shirley Jackson. And needless to say, Jackson's writing is second to none, establishing a mood and an atmosphere that keep you glued to the pages. I just can't recommend Biblioasis Ghost Stories for Christmas series highly enough. And not just for fans of the spooky and supernatural. You can find out more in the description, so get the fireplace going, turn down the lights, pour yourself something hot to drink, wrap yourself in a big, thick blanket, and enjoy Christmas the way it was meant to be enjoyed. With a ghost or two. And that is all I have time for in this episode of SFF 180. I want to thank all of you for joining me once again. I hope you are having a very, very safe holiday season. I hope you're having a great time. And remember the most important thing, these are reviews. You don't always have to agree with me, but if you enjoy watching, please hit that like button, share the video far and wide with all of your SFF and horror reading friends. And above all, please subscribe if you have not yet done so. That is how the channel grows. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Patreon, where recruits into Wink's Army occasionally get little perks like early access to some of my videos if I finish them in time. But mostly the purpose of the Patreon is to help me pay Matt Olson, my amazingly gifted and talented channel artist, who does all of my brilliant thumbnails and things for me. So I want to thank all of those folks for their additional support. It's greatly appreciated. I want to thank all the rest of you guys for being the very best viewers in all of BookTube. And until I see all of you next time, please stay safe and healthy. Happy holidays and happy reading.